So here's our grid. We've got some arguments set up for it. Define arguments. I've got a start date and stop date. The data type is date. Get a value from a variable, and this variable is called UX from, and that is set up in the UX component where we embed the grid. And I've got some default values set up there, so that's start date and stop date. So that's okay. And then that's what the select statement looks like. So it's res date between start date and stop date. I think that's all we need to do there. Yep. And this should run with some default dates, and it does. So that's fine. Fields, it's just regular stuff. Not much else in there. Now, and the UX component. Oh, geez, I want to. Okay. Alright, just to show you what this looks like. So I've got a UX component with an embedded grid, a couple of dates here, and this view grid button is from the embedded properties, and this refresh button is my own. I've got an on change event on this date, but I don't on this date, just to show you what the options available are for doing this stuff. So we'll view the grid. So there we are. We've got our dates. So that's right. It's 25 records. So I can close that and view the grid again. So that's fine. Now I can change this to the 15th. Click refresh, and you'll see it closes and opens quickly. And now we've got 31 records. And so again, no on change event there. But if you wanted to do it kind of automatically, if I tab out, then we'll go through the same process from this because there's an on change event there, and our record number changed. Let's see, you can also do this and just refresh it. Now, a viewing grid doesn't do anything by itself. Again, that's its own button. It's created automatically, so we've got to do a few things to it in order to make it refresh. So that button can actually stay there. It doesn't really matter. Let's see what else is there. I put the refresh button in just to show you that it can be done on a button. So how is this all done? Let's have a look at the embedded grid first. So we'll go to our query. So there's our statement. It's a SQL select statement, and define arguments. So I've got a start date and a stop date, date type, populated from a variable, and it's a session variable, a UX from and UX to. Those are those are going to be my variable names. And click OK there. So we can edit this. So nice normal statement. I can execute that statement. I'll get results. So that's good. There's not much else to this. What else did I do? I don't think there's anything else in there. So let's get out of this and into the UX component. So here's our embedded object. This is where we get all our good code from. So we've got our when button is clicked. Window type is on the page. That's fine. Can hide window is checked. Closes the hyperlink. Override settings. I give it an alias. I don't think I wound up using that, so that doesn't matter. Session variables. Now these are pretty much what you have. We've got a UX from, and we're getting value from my UX component fields. They don't have to be the same name. It just turned out that way. So that's the code that's going to set up our session variables that'll feed into the SQL statement for the grid. And what else is there? Okay, here. That's our override settings. Now, when this button is clicked, this is automatically created for you. So this is interesting stuff. So we're going to be using that. So I just copied that. And what I did next was did a full preview. I'm just going to move this over. There we go. So let's view our grid. Nice normal stuff. So we're going to go and take a look. We're going to inspect this stuff. So what's going on here? So we've got something that's built already. Let me just see. I'll just do that, and then we'll go and have a look at it. Without the grid displayed, this document ID is or element is still available. It's already set up, and this is our grid and our close button. It's not actually our grid. This is our grid right here. And this close button style set to none. So that's why you can't see anything. Let's see what else is in there. I think that's about it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in there. So anyway, when we do click on View Grid, you'll see that our close button is out. Now its style is still set to none. I don't know why, but its style here has changed. So it doesn't really matter. And when we click that, things change here. So what I did was I copied this information as well. So I copied this stuff, and I copied the on-click event for this button here. And what we did with all that is to do this. So we had an event running in here on change event. Now again, this is copied directly from the code that was running. And I think this said DLG1, so I just replaced it with the component name. So the div container itself, when this value is changed, we set its inner HTML, which is actually the grid, to nothing, and then we set the close button style equal to block because it's been turned off, and then we just run this exact same piece of code as the on-click button, as this automatically created button runs. So we just run that. So we turn off the grid, we turn on the close hyperlink, and then we display the grid here. So that's what happens there. 2, I haven't got anything on. The refresh button, it's going to be pretty much the same, I think. Yep. We set the inner HTML, we set the close link, and then we run the grid. And I think that's all there is. Override settings, on click event. So the trick was really just to go out to see what was going on here in this particular button, and then just to figure out that the on change events need to get done. I put a refresh button in there just to test it all out, and just have a look here to see what this button was actually doing. So again, I just copied all this stuff. This is just an if statement, but set the style display to nothing if you want that. DLG1 dialog object, and again I replaced that with dialog component. Run action, return false. It all works really well, so I hope that helps.